If you're out there on Crain Highway tonight, don't stop. I don't care what you see on the shoulder. I don't care if someone calls out your name. Don't pull over. Don't look in the mirror. Just keep driving. It started like any other night run toward Baltimore. Nothing but asphalt, taillights, and enough black coffee to make your heart itch. I'd been driving since Virginia, pushing through the fog like a knife through wet cotton. Around Clinton, the rain kicked in. Hard, sideways, relentless. Not a drizzle, not a storm. A goddamn wall of water. I had the wipers on full speed, and still I could barely make out the white lines. The road was quiet, too quiet. No trucks ahead, no cars behind. Just me, the hiss of tires on wet pavement, and the hum of the engine under my feet. Every now and then, the trees would lean in through the dark like they were trying to whisper something. And then, I saw it. Not for long, just for a second. But it was there. Something standing on the side of the road. Tall, hunched, with what looked like long legs and two sharp points jutting out of its head. Horns, big ones. It wasn't moving, just standing there, half in the ditch, half in the trees, like it was waiting. I blinked, swerved slightly, looked again. Gone. Just rain and shadows now. A couple of pine branches leaning the wrong way. Maybe a trick of the headlights. Maybe my eyes playing games with me. I rubbed them with the back of my hand and let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. Get it together, Michael, I muttered. But that image, that thing, it stuck with me. Wouldn't let go. And it wasn't just the shape. It was the feeling. Like the air had changed. Like the night had blinked. I turned the heat up, even though I wasn't cold. Something about that stretch between Clinton and Bowie. It never felt right after that. Back then, I still thought it was just my imagination. A trick of the road. Too much caffeine, too little sleep. Just another night under the rain. Back then, I could still sleep. The rain hadn't let up. If anything, it had gotten angrier, louder, meaner, slamming down on the windshield like it had something to prove. I pulled off at a rest stop just south of Bowie, one of those forgotten little trucker spots wedged between the trees like it had grown there by accident. Place had a faded sign half lit in blue neon, said, Darla's Diner, open always. Looked like it hadn't been cleaned since the 90s, but I didn't care. I needed coffee that didn't taste like engine oil, and a place to sit where the walls didn't move. Inside, it smelled like grease and dust and rain-soaked coats. The lights buzzed overhead, the kind of flicker that made you feel like time had stopped. There were only two people in the place, a waitress with a name tag that said Aaron, and a man sitting in the far corner booth, face down in a steaming mug. It was James Holloway. James? I said, blinking like I'd seen a ghost. James Holloway, is that you? He looked up slow. Same deep-set eyes, same crooked jaw, same weathered leather hat he always wore like it was part of his skull, and the same voice, gravel and bourbon. Well, damn, Michael Walker. Thought you'd finally quit the road and grown yourself a lawn. I chuckled, more out of nerves than humor, and slid into the booth across from him. The waitress brought over a fresh pot and poured without asking. James raised an eyebrow. You look like hell. I saw something, I said. Sure, you're a trucker, he muttered. We all see things. No, James, this was different. It was tall, on the shoulder near Bowie. Looked like a man, or maybe not. Had horns. He froze. Not like a man thinking, like a man remembering. Crain Highway, he asked. I nodded. God damn, he whispered, almost to himself. The waitress drifted away. James leaned forward, elbows on the sticky table. You ever hear of the Goatman? I scoffed. Urban legend, right? Campfire story. Maryland's version of Bigfoot. James didn't smile. You know what they say? He asked. They say he's a spirit, old as the trees, one that doesn't take kindly to trespassers. Some folks think he was summoned, a demon spat out by the woods. Others say he's the leftovers of a government experiment gone sideways. A man mixed with a goat, a soldier turned inside out. He tapped the side of his mug, voice quieter now. And some say he was born of pain, rage, created by something darker than we got names for. Something that doesn't live in the woods, but is the woods. I stared at him. You don't believe that crap, do you? James didn't answer. He pointed over my shoulder. I turned and looked. On the far wall, faded but still clear, was a hand-drawn picture. Crayon and charcoal, a tall figure. Half man, half beast, standing in a black forest, staring out. I turned back. James was watching me. People disappear out there, Michael. No skid marks, no wreckage, just gone. But there's always one thing left behind, one thing no one can explain. What? He leaned in so close I could smell the road on his breath. A voice, their own voice, crying for help from the trees. The silence sat heavy between us. Rain thudded against the windows like fists. Finally, I cleared my throat. So what do you do if you see him? James sat back, eyes darker than before. Don't say his name at night. Don't answer if he speaks with your voice. And if he grabs hold of you, don't scream. Don't run. Speak. Say anything. Say your name, your sins, your dreams. Anything. Words burn him. Silence feeds him. He looked down at his coffee. Most folks freeze. They go quiet. That's when he takes them. I tried to laugh, but it came out hollow. I said I'd had too much caffeine, not enough sleep. Said I was just being paranoid. James didn't argue. He just looked at me, real slow, and said, "Then why are your hands shaking?" By morning, the rain had turned biblical. It didn't let up. It got heavier, thicker. Like someone up there had cracked open the sky and forgotten how to close it again. It wasn't just falling anymore. It was pressing down. You could feel it in your lungs, in your joints, behind your eyes. I pulled out of the rest stop and merged back onto Crain Highway, windshield wipers screeching like they were trying to keep up with the end of the world. The road was a blur, water pooling across the asphalt, reflective like black glass. Trees leaned in close, their branches twitching in the downpour like they were trying to reach across the road. I kept thinking about what James Holloway had said. Don't say his name at night, don't answer your own voice, and whatever you do, don't go quiet. At the time, it sounded like superstition, just a tired old man spinning scary stories. But still, the more miles I put between me and that diner, the more his words stuck in my chest like a splinter I couldn't dig out. About 30 minutes north of Bowie, I hit something. Hard. The truck jolted. Not like hitting a pothole or dead tire. This was solid, heavy, like hitting a deer or a man. The steering wheel bucked in my hands. Brakes screamed. I wrestled the rig to a stop on the shoulder, heart hammering like a drum in my ears. Rain blurred everything. For a second, I just sat there, breathing, listening, hoping it was nothing. Then I saw the red smear on the hood. Blood. I stepped out into the downpour, boots sinking into the mud, my jacket already soaked. I walked around the front of the truck and froze. There were tufts of black fur caught in the bumper grill, thick, coarse, and slick with blood. But no body, no shape in the road, no sign of what I'd hit. Nothing. Just that damn rain. and the trees. I turned slowly, scanning the woods along the edge of the highway. "Hello," I shouted over the roar of the storm. "Is anyone out there? You okay?" Nothing but wind. And then, a voice. "Help! Please!" It was faint, broken, but clear enough to recognize. It was my daughter's voice. My blood turned to ice. No, that was impossible. She was in Texas. I just talked to her the day before. Safe, fine, laughing about her kids. I swallowed hard and took a step toward the tree line. "Emma," I called out, already hating myself for it. "Emma, is that you?" Silence. Then again, "Help me. Dad. Please." Every part of me knew this was wrong. Every cell screamed to get back in the cab, slam the door, drive. But my feet, they moved on their own. I stepped into the trees. Branches slapped at my shoulders. The ground turned slick beneath my boots. Everything was green and black and soaking and wrong. The rain was louder here, almost like it was falling faster, like the forest wanted to drown me. "Emma!" I shouted. No answer, just the rustle of wet leaves. Then softer this time, right near my ear. "Dad, help!" But it wasn't her anymore. It was me. My voice whispered back at me through the trees. I spun around. No one. Nothing but forest. I should have turned back then. I should have run. But instead, I kept walking. The deeper I went, the quieter the world became. Not peaceful quiet, not the kind that makes you breathe easier. This was something else, a silence so dense it felt like pressure, like the trees themselves were leaning in to listen. The kind of quiet that eats your thoughts before they reach your mouth. The rain was still falling, but it was muffled here, like sound didn't travel the same way under the branches. The canopy above let in just enough gray light to see, but not enough to feel safe. Everything looked the same. Wet bark, rotting leaves, mud, no path, no direction. I didn't know how long I'd been walking. I just knew I was too far from the truck. My boots squelched through soaked roots. The woods pulsed with a kind of wrongness. You ever get that feeling? When your body knows something's watching you before your mind catches up? Like a heat behind your spine, like eyes on the back of your neck. That's what it was like. Every step. "Emma!" I called out one more time, but the name came out hoarse, like my throat didn't want to say it. And that's when I heard it again. My voice. Not just words, not an echo. My exact voice. Same cadence, same breath, same crackle. "Emma, where are you?" It came from the left, then the right, then behind me. The forest spun around me. The air felt thin. My hands were shaking, jaw clenched so tight I thought my teeth might crack. I turned in circles, trying to see where it came from. Nothing. And then, a shape, not moving, just standing. At first I thought it was a tree, tall, twisted. Then I saw the curve of the horns, the uneven shoulders, the leg, not hooves, not feet, but something in between. It was standing about 30 feet away, just past a thicket, still as stone, watching. I couldn't see its eyes, but I knew it was looking at me. My body froze, not out of fear, out of something worse, like I'd been claimed, like I didn't have the right to move anymore. It didn't make a sound, didn't blink, didn't shift, just watched. I tried to turn away, but my feet wouldn't move. I was stuck. It was like the forest had swallowed my legs and my thoughts were drifting out of my skull like smoke. That thing, it started walking, not slow, not fast, just directly. One step, two, each one deliberate, almost gentle. Closing the distance, rain sliding off its shoulders like oil. The air felt thick in my lungs like I was breathing through cotton. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run, but I couldn't. I could only watch as the trees opened around it, and it came for me. I don't remember telling my body to move. One moment I was paralyzed, heart slamming against bone, legs rooted in the mud. And the next I was running, or trying to, limbs flailing, breath ragged, boots slipping on wet roots and slick leaves. I didn't look back. I couldn't. I knew if I did, if I so much as glanced over my shoulder, it'd be right there behind me. I tore through the trees like a wounded animal, branches slashing at my arms, rain blinding my eyes. Somewhere behind me, I heard the sound of movement. Not footsteps exactly, more like something heavier, lower, grinding against the forest floor. And then I slipped. The slope came out of nowhere. A sudden drop in the terrain. My feet shot out from under me and I fell, tumbling down a muddy hill like a sack of bricks. I hit hard, shoulder first, then hip, and then crack. The back of my head slammed against a tree trunk, bright white pain, then darkness. I think I blacked out, maybe 10 seconds, maybe less. But when I opened my eyes, the world was sideways, my cheek pressed against cold, wet leaves, and everything was buzzing. My ears were ringing, my vision swam, and something was breathing behind me, not heavy, not fast, just steady, slow, and close. I turned my head. He was there. Standing not 5 feet away, taller than I remembered, taller than a man, taller than anything that should exist in these woods. His body was wrong, bent, stretched, slick with rain and darkness. And those horns, black and curved and long enough to scrape the sky. He didn't lunge. He walked, one long step, and then another. I tried to move, but pain shot through my leg. I looked down. My right ankle was bent at the wrong angle. My left side was bleeding. Something sharp, a branch maybe, had stabbed into my ribs on the way down. No running, no chance. I raised my hands out of instinct, palms open, pleading. "Please," I croaked. "Please don't," he charged, suddenly without sound, like the forest had exhaled him forward. I barely got my arm up in time, and even then, only one. He rammed into me with full force like a bull. One of his horns pierced straight through my left palm, the wet sound of skin splitting, bone cracking. I screamed. Raw, animal, involuntary. The pain was white-hot and endless. He pulled back, and blood sprayed across my face. He stepped away, turned sideways, like a predator lining up for another run. I knew I wouldn't survive a second. I could feel myself slipping, vision narrowing, mind going. Panic took over. My whole body was shaking. I wanted to give in, to just let go. But something snapped. James Holloway's voice clear in my skull. "Don't scream, don't freeze, speak. Speak, God damn it, speak." I gasped. My lips fumbled for words. Any words. I'm Michael Walker. I'm from Lexington. I've got a daughter. Her name is Emma. I have a daughter. I'm not ready, not like this. Please. He stopped. Just a few feet away. Not charging now, listening. He tilted his head slightly like a dog trying to understand a sound it didn't like. I kept talking. "I drive trucks, long hauls, 32 years. I'm not afraid. You're not my voice. You don't get to choose me. You don't." He circled, slow, wide, like he was thinking. Every time my voice cracked, he twitched, closer. Every time I pushed through, forced out another breath, another word, he drifted back. Not much, but enough. Then I paused, just for a second, just to breathe. And in that heartbeat, he moved, faster than before. I started screaming again, not in fear, but in speech. Nonsense, prayers, memories, lies, truths. Anything. I didn't care. Emma, red bike, 5th birthday, chocolate cake. I'm sorry I missed it. I'm sorry I left. I'm sorry. I'm here. I'm real. I'm real. I'm real. He stopped again, face inches from mine. We stayed like that, suspended in time, breath against breath, blood dripping into the dirt between us. And I understood, with some raw, terrible clarity, as long as I kept speaking, as long as I kept being, he couldn't take me. I don't know how long I laid there, half conscious in the mud, blood seeping from my hand, pain anchoring me to the earth. The rain kept falling, steady now, like it had given up trying to kill me and settled for slow erosion instead. My voice was hoarse, my throat raw, but I didn't stop talking. I couldn't. I whispered my name over and over. Michael Walker. Michael Walker. Like it was a rope I was clinging to in the dark. I said things I hadn't said in years, things I thought I'd forgotten, names of childhood friends, street names from my hometown. The first time I kissed a girl, the last time I saw my mother, I prayed, not because I thought anyone was listening, but because I needed the rhythm, the shape of the words, the friction of syllables to keep me here. And still, I felt him, moving just beyond my vision, circling, listening. Every time my voice dipped, even a little. He twitched. I couldn't see it, but I felt it, like static in the air, like the woods themselves held their breath, waiting to see if I'd slip. I pushed harder. I talked to myself, to him, to no one. I told the trees I didn't believe in monsters. I told the rain it couldn't have me. I told the dark it didn't scare me, even as my teeth chattered and the pain threatened to pull me under. Then the voices started. Not outside, inside. First, my daughter. Dad, why didn't you come home? We waited. We waited. Then, my mother. You're just like your father, Michael. Always running, always leaving. Then, me, my own voice, whispering from somewhere above. You don't deserve to live through this. I screamed, not from fear, but defiance. Shut up, I shouted. That's not me. I know who I am. I know what's mine. The trees trembled. I closed my eyes. I couldn't fight anymore. Not physically, but I could speak, so I did. I spoke through tears, through shivers, through gritted teeth and searing pain. My name is Michael Walker. I have a daughter. I've made mistakes, but I'm not done. I'm not giving up. I'm not going quiet. Something shifted in the air. Not wind, not sound, but presence, like something lifting, moving, receding. And when I opened my eyes, he was gone, not vanished like smoke, not vanished like a ghost, just not there, like he'd slipped between the folds of the forest, back into whatever part of the world let him exist in the first place. But I knew better. He hadn't left. He'd just let go, for now. The pain came back in waves, heavy and punishing. I tried to stand, failed. My leg wouldn't hold weight. I crawled instead, dragging myself through the underbrush, whispering all the while, talking to the trees, to James Holloway, to my daughter, to God. The woods pressed in around me. Every leaf looked like an eye. Every branch looked like a hand, but none of them touched me. Not now, because I was still talking, still here, and he didn't like that. At some point, the trees began to thin. Not much, just enough for the light to shift, for the air to taste less like rot and more like rain again. I could feel it, the edge of the forest. I didn't see it, but my body knew. Somewhere up ahead, there was asphalt, civilization, headlights, noise, life. I crawled toward it like a dying man reaching for water. My arms were jelly. My leg felt like fire. My palm, the one he'd pierced, throbbed in rhythm with my heartbeat, each pulse a sharp reminder that I was still alive, and that being alive hurt. I whispered nonsense the whole way. Michael Walker, Lexington, 8th grade, Miss Wallace's math class. The smell of my daughter's shampoo, the sound of my truck engine at idle, the name of every diner I'd ever eaten at on the road. Speak, James had said. So I spoke. And then, through the blur of branches and steam rising from wet ground, I saw it. Light, not moonlight, not lightning. Headlights, a pair of them, cutting through the mist like twin swords. A truck, another rig, parked on the shoulder, engine running, hazards blinking like a heartbeat in the dark. I didn't think. I dragged myself forward using every ounce of strength I had left. I broke through the trees, mud-caked and shaking, and collapsed just shy of the gravel shoulder. But I wasn't alone. Behind me, that sound. A step, not boots, not paws. Something heavy, barefoot, intentional. I looked back. He was there. Just standing, half shadowed by the tree line, horns gleaming wet in the low light, shoulders rising and falling in perfect stillness. He wasn't charging this time. He didn't need to. He'd already had me, already marked me. I don't know where it came from. Maybe some last reservoir of will, maybe just animal instinct. But I forced myself to move. I pulled my body toward the road, toward the blinking lights, toward the warmth of that idling truck. And just as I reached the edge of the highway, I heard it. My voice. Michael, stop. Wait, please. It came from the trees. It came from me. I didn't stop. I didn't turn. I screamed, full voice. The only thing I had left, a broken, trembling cry of refusal and fury. And then I threw myself onto the shoulder, right in the path of the oncoming headlights. The truck driver slammed the brakes, tires screeching, horn blaring, the roar of rubber on wet road. He stopped just in time, a few feet from my body. The rain was deafening now. I rolled onto my back, blinking up at the light, the mist, the sky that never seemed to end. A door opened, footsteps, a man's voice yelling, something about calling for help. I looked past him toward the woods, and he was still there. Goatman, just inside the tree line, watching, no rush, no fear, just watching, like he was waiting for something, or maybe like he already had it. The hospital in Baltimore smelled like bleach and plastic and too much time. I don't remember how I got there. The driver must have called it in. All I remember is fluorescent lights passing over my head like stars, the slap of rubber gloves, voices muffled through layers of exhaustion, questions, needles, pressure, cold. Then black. When I came to, it was quiet. Not forest quiet, but human quiet, machines beeping, distant heels on linoleum. The kind of silence that means you made it through something, even if you don't know how. The nurse said I'd been found in the middle of Crain Highway. Broken ankle, punctured hand, blood loss. Said I was lucky to be alive. I didn't feel lucky. I felt hollow, like something had been peeled away and replaced with something colder. They kept me for 2 days. No one asked what happened in the woods. No one pressed. Maybe they thought I'd fallen, hit my head, wandered, hallucinated. People hear truck driver in middle of the woods and make their own conclusions. But I knew. On the second day, a familiar voice called out from the hallway. Well, hell, Michael Walker, you look like a sack of bad meat. James Holloway stepped into the room like he'd been summoned. Coffee in hand, hat still glued to that wild head of his. He pulled up a chair and sat like he owned the place. He didn't ask what happened. He just looked me over and said, quiet as a secret, "You talked to him, didn't you?" I nodded. "Used my voice," I whispered. "Tried to pull me in." James exhaled through his nose. "And you talked back." Another nod. He leaned forward. "That's what did it. That's the only thing that ever does. Words. They burn him. They tell him you're still yours, that your mind's not hollowed out yet. He hates that more than fire." I swallowed, my throat still raw. "Why me?" James looked away. "Maybe he follows the ones who notice him. Maybe he's drawn to memory, pain, the kind of noise most folks bury." He sipped his coffee. "Or maybe he just likes the lonely." He set the cup down. "But here's the thing, Michael. He never really lets go." I didn't answer. I didn't need to. That night when they discharged me, I sat in the cab of my truck with the engine running, listening to the rain tapping the roof like fingers. I pulled out my phone, opened the voice recorder, and started to speak. Not because I was scared, not anymore. Because I knew someone else might need this. Might hear something one night, see something at the edge of the trees, and make the mistake of thinking they're alone. So I talked. Name's Michael Walker. Been driving 32 years. And if you're out there alone in the dark and you hear something that sounds like you, don't go toward it. Don't answer it. Don't stop. And whatever you do, don't go silent. I paused, looked in the mirror, and there he was. Just for a second, standing in the trees off the shoulder, still, watching. I didn't flinch, didn't break, didn't speak. I just turned back to the road and drove. But as the tape rolled, I added one last thing, a whisper like a scratch behind the ear. He follows, he speaks in your voice, he chooses you, but you can choose too. You can choose not to be afraid.